You ready to get serious about building content sites and building a profitable business online? Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. We bring you the latest field-tested tips, tricks, and strategies for building a profitable online asset. We interview industry experts, share customer success stories, and reveal our own experiences working on hundreds of sites to inspire and motivate you to make something happen. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Show. Today I speak to Matt Giovanisci from MoneyLab.co. So Matt has been in this business for a very long time, building sites. He started his first site some 17 years ago, and he's very public about the sites that he works on, the sites that he's building, all over on his blog on MoneyLab.co. So if you're not familiar with him, you should head over there. But he's had one site for, like I say, around 17 years, called Swim University. And, he takes us through kind of how that all started, how that all began, and, where it is today. And like, it hasn't always been easy, hasn't always been plain sailing. And, the great thing about Matt's blog is that it's really real. It's really authentic. Like it doesn't try and sell you the dream, doesn't try and sell you like things that happen fast. It's a genuine story, really, the Swim University story of like, where it all began, and it did take a long time to get going, but now it makes some seriously good money, and allows him to do a lot of other things that essentially not have a day job and still make a very healthy living. So we talk about that. We talk about some of the other sites that he's kind of started and failed, and podcasts he's been involved in, and the other thing about his site is that he runs experiments as well. Like he runs public experiments in things that he's trying out for, MoneyLab generally, but, it could be all sorts of things. And kind of just shares the results kind of openly, but there's no like pretense or anything about it. It's really interesting. So I think, you'll enjoy the show because, he's just, a matter of fact kind of guy. So, we talk about all sorts of things. We talk also that he's got was involved in a plugin. He's got a theme. He runs courses. He does a lot of different things, and has been in the game for a long time. Has kind of got a kind of practical view on kind of how to build affiliate sites and content sites. So, without further ado, I'll get on with the interview.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Website Builders, an agency dedicated to helping people just like you build profitable content sites. Niche Website Builders are the hands-off content site marketing agency you always wished existed. It's run by content site marketers for content site marketers, and they help both investors and individuals alike build profitable online properties. They provide a fully outsourced approach to content creation, link building, and done-for-you website builds, the same approach they use on their own six-figure portfolios. For example, their content packages come with a proprietary keyword research process, are written by in-house native English speakers, formatted using templates proven to convert, and uploaded to WordPress with affiliate links added so that all you need to do is hit the publish button. Check them out at nichewebsite.builders/show. That's nichewebsite.builders/show, and fill out the form to get coupon codes for 10% more content or a 10% discount on links with your first order sent right to your inbox.
Welcome back to the Niche Website Builder Show. Today I'm speaking with Matt Giovanisci. I almost got that right, I think, from MoneyLab.co. Yeah. I'd just like to say welcome, Matt. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. So I think to get things started, it'd be really cool for I've been following your stuff for a long time, and you've got some really cool case studies that you're very public about on your site over the years, and and I think I love about your stuff is it's just really authentic. You kind of say this is a 17-year journey with like 12 failures and to get here, and it's cool to kind of see that it just wasn't an overnight success, and so
yeah
I think it'd be really cool just to for you to share in your own words a little bit about yourself, and to get things started. So
my name's Matt. I don't know how far or how deep or how shallow do you want me to go with talking about myself, which is not something I love doing, but I run a site called Swim University, which is teaching people how to take care of their pools and hot tubs. And I've done that since 2006. And that's kind of like my big thing. And then a lot of what I talk about, or a lot of like all the work that I've done behind the scenes is now sort of in front of the scenes, or the scenes at MoneyLab.co. So MoneyLab.co is sort of showing you how I built Swim University since 2006 and all the failures in between.
Yeah, really cool. So Swim University, right, was like, I mean, that wasn't just you didn't just pluck that niche out of the air, right? That was a job, like, for you in the beginning.
No. Yeah, I don't really, that was something I did, obviously, because like when you get into like the authority site or the niche site kind of arena, you start to, just you just know about stupid little tiny niches all over the place because you got to do all that research. But no, I was in the pool industry. That was my first summer job. I was 13 and I worked at a pool store and kind of worked my way up and out of that store into another store, into corporate, the corporate world, and just have been in the industry, not doing online, business, or not owning my own business, since I was 13. So it wasn't until, 2004, 2006 when I decided to actually take all my knowledge and put it online. So, it's not something I plucked out of the air. It plucked me. That's how that worked.
But be careful how you say that. Yeah. But,
oh yeah. No. I got plucked in the, I got plucked
in the pool. Yeah.
I got plucked in the pool.
Yeah.
In the ground.
I mean, when you first started Swim University, did you have kind of the foresight for this being like a long-term, like, online business, like you do today, like you understand about the online world and growing niche sites and making money from them? It was a long time ago, right? It was like,
yeah, I did. I knew that it was my future. Like, as soon as I started it was my first real good idea. Mm-hmm. I've had other business ideas and they've kind of come and gone, and I've started other niche sites kind of in between, but I knew that one was going to work just because I knew it was underserved. I knew it was something I knew inside and out. So like, I knew how to design the site. I knew how to like make a site. That's kind of my background, or that was sort of my side gig while I was working at the pool store, was learning website design. And so I kind of knew both worlds really well. And when I did it, it was like 7 years of me doing it, kind of on the side when I got home from work, and not really giving it my all. And then when I got the opportunity to, like, I basically got an opportunity to get laid off, and I've been waiting for that day for a long time. I missed my opportunity when I was younger. I had an opportunity to collect unemployment, and I didn't even know it was possible for me to do, because I had gotten laid off at the pool company for the winter time, which apparently was a normal thing that happened at that company. I was fairly new to it. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm let go, because they didn't need to staff the pool company in the wintertime, in New Jersey. So I had to go. I figured I had to go get another job, so I went and worked at Target for the Christmas season and the winter season. And then I got hired back to the same company in March, and everyone asked me what I did on my vacation, and I was like, vacation? I worked at Target. I didn't even go on vacation. They're like, why didn't you collect unemployment? I'm like, I didn't know I could do that. They're like, yeah, you were laid off temporarily. We all collect unemployment and just do it every year. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So that ever since I found out that was a possibility, I kind of knew that if that ever happened to me, I knew exactly what I was going to do. And it did happen at a different company. And I was like, okay, this is the moment where you have to make Swim University your full-time job.
Cool. So how does that work? Obviously I'm based in the UK, but in the US, is that like just some sort of benefit for being unemployed, or is it because you were recently unemployed? Like, what is that? Yeah,
it's just a safety net for those that, if you lose your employment, you're not going to lose out of, if you're actively looking for a new job, it only applies to people who were laid off, not fired. If you were fired, that's a different story. But I was laid off because the company was cutting like they were cutting their expenses, and I was in marketing, so I was the first one to kind of go. And my boss didn't want to let me go, but I was like, okay, I'm okay, because I was the only person doing marketing, and so I was like, yes, please, because I knew I was going to get at least a year of unemployment, and I was going to use that money to start. Swim University was doing okay. It was probably doing like maybe 10 to 20 grand a year. But I knew that if I took this opportunity, I wasn't going to squander it. So I didn't like go and get another job. I'm like, all right, this is my 1 year runway. And I took it, and I did something.
Okay. So it was kind of making enough to fill the gap between your kind of unemployment.
That's it. Yeah.
And
I had to, like, the unemployment was basically just my 1 year safety net, because I was still working, doing like side gigs here and there to kind of pay for my lifestyle. And I ended up like selling my home or renting out my house and selling my car and like living on super, super cheap for multiple years while I was, putting all of my time and effort into this, project.
Ah, yeah. Nice. I might be getting this in the wrong order, but am I right in thinking that you got, I don't know if it's sacked. I don't know if sack's the right word, but you got kind of pushed out because of one of the articles you wrote on a guest posting site. Is that right?
Yes. That happened before I was laid off I was working at the pool store, I was working in marketing. So I was working like corporate for multiple stores, and I had Swim University. I was public about it, not at work, but I was public about it everywhere else. Like my name was on it, I should say. And I knew that was risky, because I didn't consider it a conflict of interest, because I was teaching people nationwide how to and worldwide how to take care of their pools, and we were only servicing, South Jersey really. But I knew that it was my next move. It was like I was always planning on doing this as like my job. So I ended up, I was working on it, but because I was working at a company, and I was very adamant about like not working on it at work. Like I wasn't that person who would be at work working on my own thing, and then just that feels incredibly disingenuous. And so I would only work on it at home, and I got a job offer at the job that I was laid off from later, and so I used it as a leverage point to ask my current boss for more money, which I had tried in the past, and I had tried to ask for a raise, and instead I got a 401. He told me to invest in a 401k with the company, which I did, and he was matching up to 5%. And then a month later, he stopped matching altogether for the whole company. So I was like, well, then that wasn't really a raise, was it? It wasn't a raise in the first place, and now it's really not a raise. So I used it as leverage, and he used it as an opportunity to like spy on me basically for the next week. And so he spied on me and found out that I was visiting food blogs at work. Because I was like, I was single, and I had to like know what I was going to cook when I went home, and that's why I was looking at food blogs. And then he found out that I had written a guest post on an article a website at the time called FireYourPoolGuy.com, which I like that site doesn't even exist anymore. It was pretty small to begin with, and he was like, "Don't you see that that's a conflict of interest?" And I'm like, "I don't."
Yeah,
but. I mean, no one knows who I am. I'm not the face of the company. So, no one knows that I worked for that company. So I did get fired, but I had a job. So it was like, he was firing me, and I was going to go take a job with more money. So I'm like, it really wasn't, I just got a week off between jobs, which I was like, all right, you just gave me a week vacation. Thanks for the raise.
That was the raise. Yeah. Give you a week off.
Yeah, that was a raise. A week vacation, I guess, unpaid. So, and then then rumors started flying around the company that I was stealing, and I was like, oh, that was not true at all. Right. But well, here we are.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're not that close to your old boss anymore, then.
No, I've talked to him.
Oh, you have, right? Okay.
Post that. Yeah, it's totally amicable. It was just, it's just like company rumor. It's not that he started it. No, I still respect the guy totally. But all my bosses, like, even though I never really wanted to work for I don't like working for other people. Like, I've always felt like my own boss, even when I worked for bosses, and they treated me like that. So it wasn't like, but I never had like disdain for them by any means. Yeah. So it's all's good.
Cool. And how is Swim University monetized?
So when I first started it, the foresight was to affiliate marketing. This is before Amazon had their affiliate program. This was it was like, oh God, link share. And before that it was something else. So I was doing an affiliate marketing and I was doing AdSense, but I really thought the money was going to come from like banner advertisement. That's where I kind of, and that was 2006 thinking for sure. And nowadays it's we sell our own digital products. We sell our own online courses and we sell, and we do affiliate marketing as well. So those are the two pieces. We don't do sponsorships anymore, or any kind of banner advertisement.
Okay, cool. How do you go about it? I mean, how much content do you create for that? Do you still create content regularly for that site? And how much do you invest in that in terms of amount of content? I mean,
so like maybe one post a month now.
It's already pretty big.
And it's always, our site has 200 posts on it, and it's kind of had the same like number of posts for the last 7 years, maybe. Because mostly what we do is update old stuff and delete stuff that isn't working. Yeah. So we're constantly looking at our site and seeing, okay, this post isn't working. No one cares about this. So we're going to delete it, and and then we end up writing something new that people do want and replacing it, or, even those posts that are been doing well for a long time, we'll update those as well. So a lot of what, and the way I kind of approach all of my sites are like a textbook. So instead of coming out with a new story every single time, or if you compare what I do, I compare a lot of blogs to magazines, right? Where what they do is they're constantly putting out new content every month. Like there's 20 articles in a new magazine that goes out every month, and you're bound to repeat yourself. Like you're just going to, or you're going to find some new angle, but it's really just this old angle. But the thing about magazines is once you read the magazine, you never go back and read like old magazines really. And that's because the content's usually pretty thin. Like it's not really that great. So the way I look at my site is like a textbook where, it's thick and there's new editions all the time. Mm-hmm. But unlike a textbook, we don't have to print. So, the way we think about it is like we have this core set of articles, we have these chapters, and as new technology and as new information comes out, or, we just constantly look at the same textbook over and over again and see how can we improve this book for the next edition. And so we just do that on a consistent basis.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Cause that's 200 posts is pretty lean really, for a content site.
Super lean.
And it's interesting you think about stuff in this way. Cause I heard you also talk on another podcast once, and it stayed with me, like about how you, even with your affiliate kind of stuff, you can treat that like your e-commerce store, like it's like your inventory.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The way I do affiliate marketing is it's only because I understand this world completely, which is I worked at a mom and pop pool store, right? You have a certain square footage of space in your store, and you can only put certain things out on the floor, or else it starts to get crowded, right? And it starts to get weird. And then with a pool store, unlike a Target or a Walmart or something, with a pool store, people are walking into your front door, and they're usually walking in with an issue, and they need to talk to somebody. And they're not just going to go, they're not browsing for products. They don't really know what they want, because it's like, it's like, I'm trying to think of another store that's like this, but it's like going into Home Depot maybe, right? And you have like a problem and a project, and there's so much Home Depot stuff, but it's like, what do I actually need for my project? And what's helpful is you go into a store, you talk to somebody, and they literally point you right to their thing. And unlike a Home Depot, a smaller store can't stock a million different versions of one thing. You can only stock one thing. And so when you have that one thing, it better be the best selling, the thing that's going to move off the shelf, because that's how you're going to survive as a retail store, a small retail store. So the way I look at it is, people are coming to my site and they're talking to me, the guy behind the counter, which is my blog post, right? Or my textbook, whatever, however, have mixed metaphors. And then I go, hey, you need pool shock. This is the pool shock that we sell, or you need an algicide, or you need this other chemical, or this robotic cleaner. Like, this is the one we sell, so it's like, we sell this one because we believe in it. We've worked with the manufacturers, we've worked with customers, and this is the one that comes back that everyone seems to be the most happy with. And so it's the only one we stock because it's the only one that we can fit in our store, but we move units, because it is the only one. You don't have to choose. Yeah. We're choosing for you. So I like to think of my site in the same way, where, when you look at, there's not like a 50 different brands of shock kind of sprawled across my entire website. It's one brand of shock. And if that shock changes, I can click a button and it updates across my whole site.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That makes sense. That's it's almost like it's to a certain level of consultancy, right? Like, forget their other products. Like, this is the best one, kind of thing.
No, this is what I recommend. And that's the article and the YouTube videos and the content, the free stuff, is what gets you to trust what we're saying. And so therefore you're going to trust what we recommend, hopefully, and you're going to buy that thing. And that's how it seems very like obvious and linear,
For sure. I guess it's worth mentioning right now that Swim University, hasn't always been plain sailing, has it? So I think
hasn't
always been plain sailing. I don't know if that's a term you're aware of.
I don't even. What does that word
so
mean?
Plain sailing, it's I didn't even realize it was like a UK thing, but plain sailing just means it hasn't always been an easy road. It hasn't always been an easy path. Like you've had dips, dips and successes and stuff along the way, but like, it's not always been easy, right?
Yeah, bips and bobs, right? Is that what you call it?
Bits and bobs. That's like bits and pieces. That's like odds and ends. That's like
all right,
a box full of crap, basically.
Look, I love Ted Lasso, and that's the way that I'm learning all of my English idioms.
Yeah. Bits and bobs is when you got a whole like a bag of like a box of like screws and screwdrivers and bits and pieces. Yeah. That's bits and bobs. But no, I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, you've had setbacks with Swim University, like with you got hit by the panda, right? Because of stuff you were doing in the old days. But back then, like, you were putting stuff on article sites. Was it e-zines you was talking about? Like, people think about it, and that was Black Hat, but like back in the day, that was just SEO, right? That's just what it was.
That was just SEO, yeah.
But so it
was wrong, but that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, when you look at it now, for sure. But it's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But so you got hit by Panda, right? Pretty hard.
Panda or Penguin, one of the two. Yeah, but it was 2008, so whenever that was.
Yeah, I feel like it was Panda, but maybe it was Penguin.
Oh no, maybe it was 2010. It was 2010. So I think it was Panda.
Yeah,
it was one of them. I know that, but I got hit. And I wasn't making a ton of money, but I was getting a lot of traffic, so that did sting. But it didn't hurt my business because I wasn't really, making a lot of money. And it's because I was doing the Black Hat stuff, and I was doing I was so concerned about traffic, just like I couldn't think about anything else. And that means that I was really, really bad at monetizing my site back then. Now I feel like I'm so much better at it. It's sort of now my new focus, but traffic was like the thing that I couldn't, I thought that would solve every single one of my problems, which is like, and it does solve your problem when your idea of monetizing is based on banner advertising, because the only way you make money from that is like a lot of traffic. And same with affiliate marketing. Like, it just takes, not all types of affiliate marketing, but certainly the kind I was doing where like you're selling physical products. Not all of them are extremely expensive and have like a huge monthly recurring revenue of 30%. And, all the software people that are doing affiliate stuff, like they're, or digital product affiliates, they make good money just, with a small audience. But I wasn't doing that kind of work. So for me, it was like, oh, traffic will solve all the problems. The more traffic I have, the more I'll make money. And that led me down a path of like, starting to do stuff that made no sense for my audience. It's like I had an article about hot tub sex because I was like, I'd ranked number 1 for it, but I'm like, it wasn't until like 2 or 3 years later where I'm like, not that it was the right people reading that article. Like, it wasn't a bunch of pervs, but like it was, I mean, there was nothing to see, but it wasn't, anybody can have sex in a hot tub. You don't have to own a pool or a hot tub to do that. So it became like this race to just for numbers, for vanity metrics. And I wasn't really thinking about, well, who am I really trying to target here? If I'm trying to target pool owners, I'm using I'm spraying everywhere. Like, I'm not really hitting my target. So,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You want to be careful with your spraying when you're talking about sex in the hot tub. And
I know.
We'll keep going back to this. I don't mean to be like flirting with you, Matt, but
No, I mean, this is like, this is all we're constantly, is that a euphemism? Probably. We'll make it one.
Cool. So in the early days, you were writing all the articles, but I guess you're not writing them now, right?
So in the early days, I was writing everything and doing all the everything, literally everything. The website, the design, graphics, podcasts, videos, article, I mean, every word. And then when I was starting to make good money from it, I started outsourcing the writing, because that to me has always been the most challenging part of my business. And ironically, the most important. So I ended up outsourcing for probably like 4 or 5 years, where I had, either like one or a staff of writers and editors working for that site and my other sites as well. In the last year, it's been just me and my girlfriend running all 3 sites.
Cool.
So I am back to writing articles again.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's before we go on to the other couple of sites that you got as well, like a couple of other things. I was taking a look at the metrics of Swim University and Ahrefs and SEMrush before like the call. And did you get hit in June as well for the core update? Because I can see it's at least in those tools, it looks like things are moving down. But...
Yeah, I that looks like that, but I didn't.
Okay.
Like, according to Google Analytics, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, traffic's certainly down, but July is always that.
Right.
So, Ahrefs for me has been not the most reliable when it comes to metrics, and they've had issues with reporting in the past, and so ever since then, it's like every time I look at when I look at the difference between Ahrefs and my analytics, I'm like, they tell 2 different stories. And I'm like, well, the only one I can trust is Google Analytics, and then look at my sales numbers and make sure that they're not down, so I'm like, well, if that's not down, then I don't really care.
For sure.
But I'm sure I'm losing because we're not updating the site nearly as much, and a lot of competition has showed up in the last 2 years in the pool industry because, the pandemic really, everyone started buying pools, and so everybody rushed in. They'll all be gone a couple years, maybe next year.
Yeah,
I've been through this for 15 years now, where it's like I see this huge crop of new sites start, trying to take advantage of everything, and then they end up like crapping out, and then we're still there, still making videos, still doing articles. It's a test of time type of thing.
And that's the other thing. It's like, you started a YouTube channel, right, for Swim University.
Mm-hmm.
How did that change your business?
I mean, I used to say, and I don't, I don't know why I didn't do it, but like, I could tell you that like when I started making videos myself, I felt like everything had changed, where I all of a sudden realized that I realized what I was supposed to do, which is like, and it sounds stupid, but it's like, oh, I'm just supposed to educate people about taking care of the pools and be as thorough as possible. So it's like, okay. And I have always liked video as a person. Like I've been a video editor, like kind of on the side and stuff. And so like I considered that like a huge change, and then it just became too difficult to do. You know, it's like you're doing videos, plus you're doing the articles, plus I'm starting other businesses here and there. But then a couple of years ago, we figured out how to be consistent about it, and we switched over to not a video camera approach, but an animation approach, and that allowed us to do a lot more videos a lot faster. So now we're doing a video every single week, and that's Steph's job. She runs that whole department basically, where she'll, you know, decide what the video needs to be about by reading comments and, you know, just sort of, you know, asking the audience and doing keyword research. And then she writes a script based on like what we've already written on the website, plus any sort of additional research that she needs to do. She sends it to me. I do the VO, you know, I do the voiceover, send it back to her, and then it's animated and it goes up.
Ah, cool.
And we just crossed 100,000 subscribers.
Congratulations.
So this was the year we get our plaque.
Yeah.
So that was a fun moment. Yeah. We still have to celebrate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. That's cool.
Yeah, for a pool company, you know, it's like if we were doing like dance videos or
you did,
you know, mukbang, we'd be crushing it.
Well, you do the odd rap, right? I've seen that.
I did a rap, yeah. That really helped. That was like 6 years ago,
yeah,
something like that. 7 years ago, maybe. Yeah,
yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so for the people who don't know what we're talking about, like it's nothing secret. Like there was you got I don't know what you want to call it, like a piss take kind of rap kind of thing going. But
yeah, I did a rap about pool care.
Yeah. So, all right. So, hey, your other sites, well, actually, I don't know what your third site is, because I know you had Roasty Coffee, but you sold that, and then you got Brew Cabin. You said you got 3, right?
And MoneyLab.
Oh, MoneyLab, of course. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So Roasty Coffee. If we, probably be quite brief on that, I guess, because like you sold it sure. Now, but like, yeah, if you could summarize kind of like the story of like what started and why you sold it and that kind of thing.
I started the site because I wanted to see if I could do Swim University again. Like, you know, I took me, you know, at this point, I think it was like 10, 11 years to get Swim University to profitability and just good, earn a living from it. And so I was like, well, I know how to do it. I fumbled for 11 years. Like, let me see if I can do it again, but in a completely different industry. And learn from my mistakes. And so I did it for 2 years. We published an article every single week. We had a YouTube channel. We had a course. You know, we did affiliate links. It was making good money until Amazon in 2018. Was that the hit? Yeah. So, right? Yeah. So in 2018, they got hit. You know, basically what happened was, you know, they cut commissions, especially in that niche of businesses. Swim University didn't get touched. That got touched in 2020. So I was like, all right, well now, you know, this site is kind of like a burden to me. It was like, I I proved what I had to prove to myself, and it, you know, was making okay money, but I'm like, I'm not interested in coffee that much to continue it. Cause it definitely is a competitive space. You know, it's not something you can slack on. And I wasn't going to make a YouTube channel. I didn't have any interest in any of that. So I also went into business debt because I had spent so much money paying writers to write articles for all my sites. And I kind of like went in all in on, you know, hiring a lot of people. And then, you know, those articles I think paid off later, but in that moment, that's not the internet. You know, our content creators really don't work that way. Like, you have to kind of establish yourself. So I had about 40 grand in debt. And I would have paid it off the following year, but because my business is seasonal. But yeah, I ended up selling the site because I was like not really interested in it anymore personally. So I sold it for $55,000, and that site is doing way better than that now. Because obviously, if you're going to spend that much money on the site, you're going to put all your assets into it. So yeah, I got out of debt, and I have one less thing to do now, and it was nice to get out of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally understand that sentiment. Like, you just when you're not feeling it anymore, there's no point in carrying on.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can do to help it. Like, I know, like, business wise, I could have done exactly what the guy who bought it did, but I didn't want to do it. And so if I'm not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it, and it's just going to suffer.
Yeah.
So let somebody else have it.
Yeah, for sure. With all your sites, including like Swim University and I guess in Brew Cabin, which we'll come on to. I know you do for MoneyLab, but do you purposely do email marketing? Do you set up emailing lists ideally? For all of those, yeah.
Oh yeah, they all have one, yeah, for sure.
Do you get much traffic across from referral traffic across from YouTube, or is it kind of more?
So on Swim University, we do. We this year was the first year where we started to promote our email list, like, hey, get a free cheat sheet, sign up for our email list, in our videos. And so when we started doing that, we started getting a lot more email subscribers from YouTube, which was nice. It gets decent traffic, not as much as obviously just regular Google, but yeah, it certainly is like it's our second biggest distribution channel for our content, for sure. I mean, like it might even end up taking over
sure.
at some point, but it's been the most, like, conversion rate wise, like, YouTube has been the best for us.
Okay, cool.
Like way better than Google, way better than Pinterest, way better than Facebook, way better than Facebook.
Wow, interesting.
So yeah, it's like double the conversion rate of everything we have.
Oh, right. Wow. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Which is why I think it's the future. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. So yeah, Brew Cabin is another one of your sites. Another passion of yours.
Yeah, big one. That's what I'm going to do after this. So, what do you want to know about that one?
Yeah, so that's is that similar? That's affiliate and products.
Yeah, we have one course I made this year. Made it back in February. I have not done a very good job at selling it, but it's there and it's still good. I need to lower the price, I think. We'll see. I don't know. But I've kind of looked at the site as, I've neglected it for 3 years. So the articles that are there are the articles that are there, and they have not been changed in 3 years. I think I added one article in October of 2020, and that was it. So the site's kind of been steadily declining in traffic because I've just not kept up with it. But again, it's that for me, that was never like me trying to prove myself as a business. It's me just, it gives me a reason to do like fun stuff for my hobby, because my hobby is home brewing. That's what I do, when I'm not doing computer stuff. And so it's like, it gives me permission to do, again, like things I wouldn't normally do. So I've kind of shifted more towards YouTube in that space, because that is where everybody is. Everyone's just on YouTube. Yeah. And what's cool about that experience, it's been kind of good and bad, but like that experience has been interesting because I've, that's a really, interesting niche to be in, that there's not a lot of people, but the people that are there are very hungry. They want the content. And so, like, I've only done 3 videos in the last year, and it's like we've just crossed over 5,000 subscribers, which for that industry is a lot. Yeah. So especially for 3 videos.
That's what I was thinking. I saw,
and they're all like, they're all. I mean, if you watch them, part of, the other part of the passion of that project is not just the homebrewing stuff, but I get to flex the like creative muscle that I've always had but never really got to use, which is my music production skills, my video production skills, my editing skill, all that stuff is something that I never really got to push in Swim University or Roasty or any. I mean, Roasty I did a little bit, but like I never really got to push it, And with Brew Cabin, the kind of way I look at it is like every single piece that I put out is like a little mini movie kind of thing. And yeah, I just feel like I have like all the creative ability to do whatever I want there. And that's fun. It's not very lucrative, but it's certainly like gives me that outlet. Like I can write music and do like, some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like my last video is just insane. It's just like an insane video.
Yeah. Like those, I mean, you've got 5K subscribers, like you say, from 3 videos. Like, is that all kind of just organic?
Yeah.
Or if you kind of, is that MoneyLab people that have come over, do you think? Or
I'm sure there's some, but like, no, it's all organic. Yeah. Yeah. It's because, and I kind of knew this going into it. And I, not that I was really trying, not that I really cared, to be honest, but like, I knew, like, I'm a like hardcore consumer of all things homebrewing. And most of the homebrewing content that's out there is fine, like just fine, like just talking head, just, like get, here's the information. Like there's nothing really creative about it. There was one channel, and it wasn't even a channel at the time. It was a video podcast, right? When that was a thing, where they got a little creative with the homebrewing side of things. And there's been like shows like Brewmaster and like Brew Dogs and like shows where they tried to make homebrewing sexy and cool. And, but not even Brewmasters, like I guess Brewdog was probably the closest, but it became very formulaic. And there was this one show called Brewing TV that it's still my favorite. I still go back and watch old episodes. They haven't done it in a very long time, but I absolutely thought it was the best because it was a really storytelling. And I've never seen anybody do anything close to that ever since. And so I kind of thought, what if I filled that role for myself and for the rest of the people out there who still think that's the best homebrewing show ever made. And so, I'm not doing a show where there's like the same host every week and whatever. I'm kind of approaching it from a very high production value, without spending a lot of money. It's like I'm not hiring like a legit camera crew or anything, but I'm just putting as much time and effort into the script and editing. And everything's done myself, usually with my iPhone.
wow,
or like my one camera.
Yeah, wow, because
so it's like
cool videos. Yeah, that's cool that you did that on.
It's like and I can just and like again, I get to flex all of my creative muscles that I really don't get to do in my other businesses because they it's more about the bottom line. Whereas this one, I'm like, it's just kind of for me to be proud of, like for me to go like, hey, do you want to watch this weird video I made and it's about homebrewing? So
it's like it's kind of fun play thing a little bit for you. Well, you're serious about it, but like it's just fun as well. You don't too worried about the bottom line, like you
said. And it gives me like permission to spend money, on homebrewing stuff that I probably wouldn't have done had it not been for like, oh, I have an idea for a video, so here's what I'm going to rig this keezer up with a bunch of lights, and my next project, which do you drink any real ale?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so like that's my next project is to buy like a beer engine and like hook it up and do a real ale from start to finish, which is like I've never really seen done. I've never seen anybody really do it from a homebrew perspective, but I saw one guy do it and it was broken up into multiple parts, but I wanted to make it like one long thing and more for homebrewers for the rest of the world. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, I think although this one in particular, you're not, or at least right now, you're not worried about the ROI on these videos or whatever. But like, in general, like what you do, like a lot of people come at it from a different angle. I think probably where you started out with Swim University is that you try to, from the beginning, you're trying to make it a real business. You're building you're thinking long term. You're not just thinking how much traffic you can get and how many affiliate links can I get on a page. You're thinking, what can I make courses out of this? Can I start a YouTube channel? Can I create an email list and give some value there? Like, this is something that I always try to encourage people to do, is kind of just don't think about that short term. It's just like, think about what it could be and like, how can you make it a real business long term?
I mean, that's why it's called Swim University, because when I came up with the name, I was trying to think, and I've always done this. It's like, I try to think what could this be, outside of just the internet as well. Like, could it be an actual brand you see on store shelves? Can it be, does it encompass multiple things? Like, swimming doesn't have to necessarily be hot tubs and pools. It could be literally anything I push it to. Brew cabin it's not called beer cabin, because then that would be, I can only brew beer. I can brew cider. I can brew wine. I can brew coffee. I can do, kombucha. Like, the sky's the limit. So, and then on top of that, like, when I started Brew Cabin, the initial idea was to have software. I was going to build homebrewing software, because I just never had homebrewing software that I really liked. A lot of it was really confusing. But then this software came out that actually was really good. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to try to compete with this, because I'd rather just be an affiliate, because this is like, he just did such a good job. And I've been waiting for it for so long. And so I was like, okay, well then I'm going to just, be courses and affiliate stuff. But for, the kind of the good part about Brew Cabin is, like, I never really kind of had I don't need it to make money, if that makes sense, because it's just my passion. So it's just my hobby. It's like, if you're out there and you're a woodworker, and it's like, well, if you want a reason to spend extra money on a nice saw, or to maybe get one for free, that's kind of the way I look at Brew Cabin, is it sort of pays for my hobby, so any money that it does make, I can buy grain, I can buy new equipment, I can, just kind of have fun with it.
So what software does a brewer need?
It's a recipe development software and inventory tracking, and it's specifically made for home brewers, but pro brewers can use it as well.
Okay.
So it's like like batch. It like has a timer built into it. It has like, it tells you when to add things.
Gotcha,
it helps you formulate recipes. Yeah.
Cool. And I get,
make sure you're hitting the right style.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now you said it makes sense. I'm not in that world, so maybe sure. One day, but yeah. Cool. Before we move on from talking about kind of the site specifically, like I was reading your site earlier as well, and I was going through kind of your timeline and stuff, and you mentioned about like the Croc site that you did, where it's quite abusive about the Croc site. You said, fuck, the shitty, like the crappy or the fucking rubbish, like rubber shoes. And then you're learning from like 4 years was like Crocs suck. Like, I feel like there's a story there. Like tell us about like what happened there with that site.
Like that site was one of those, when I mentioned earlier, like we've all kind of gone through and, the niche plucked me sort of thing. Well, this was me plucking, niches and niches out of the air. Like, one of the early pieces of advice I got about starting, niche sites was walk around your house and just like write down everything that you you own and start to do keyword research on that. And so I, at one point in my life, owned a pair of Crocs, which at the time was not fucking cool. It was not cool to have Crocs. Today it is, apparently, which is crazy. But yeah, back then it was not. It was awful. And so I was like, oh, let me research, do the keyword research. And it turns out, hey, people are searching for Crocs and there's no information about them. And so I thought, what a great niche. And so I had a site called allaboutcrocs.com at some point. If you go to moneylab.co/Crocs, I've recreated the site as a bit. So it's a comedy piece and not to be taken seriously, but it's there. Yeah.
Right. Cool. That's funny.
Yeah. So that's just really not too much of a story. It was just, me doing the classic and this is what a lot of people do. And I'm sure you get this a lot where it's like, the first question that everybody asks you is like, how did you find your niche? Like, how did you find your niche? How do you do keyword research? It's like, all right, well, that's the kind of garbage you come up with when you do it that way.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I'm just looking at the site now. It's quite funny. Do you get a refund?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Cool.
Yeah, it's I think it's like an ebook on how to wear your Crocs without being made fun of or something like that. Which again, that's a dated reference because apparently it's cool to wear Crocs now.
Yeah. Well,
it's cool to rock.
I'm sure it'll come back in. Like Crocs will become uncool, and then
go
full circle. So.
Maybe that's true.
Cool. So you had like we don't have to go into all of them, but the truth is you started quite a lot of sites over the years and kind of then they've fallen by the wayside. That's cool. And I think it's similar to the podcast. You started quite a few podcasts, or you've been involved in quite a few podcasts, and they've come and gone. So, I mean, tell us about your podcasting. You still work with a few, right?
I don't do any podcasting right now. Okay. I do miss it terribly. But I started podcasting before it was a thing. I think 2000 again, this is, man, I want to say 2006. This is right when iTunes started, released the idea of a podcast, or audio was a thing. And we just did it. My friend had gotten stationed in Afghanistan or Qatar or one of those during the war, and he gave me the idea to create a podcast for him to inform him of what was happening back in the States, local to our area. And so me and 3 other friends every Tuesday, we go over to my friend's apartment and we had this table set up with 4 mics, and we were all music producers. So, they had all the equipment, and we had a keyboard and soundboard and, all these mics, and we just did a shock jockey type of radio show for my friend once a week. And we just basically just send him the file, and he would be able to download it on his iPod at the time. We just did bits and wrote some stuff here and there, and would call people, and we had a caller, people could call in. It was fun. And then so I had this, it's because I've had audio engineering, and my dad continues to own a recording studio in our family basement, and I've kind of been in music production as just a side thing, and so when I met Andrew Fiebert, who had a site called Listen Money Matters at the time, listenmoneymatters.com. This was back in 2013, and he had said, hey, why don't we team up? I can help you with some university. You can help me with my site. And at the time, I was really interested in personal finance because I had started my business, and I really needed to get better with money. And so he was sort of just being my friend who was also good with money and I could run things by him. And I was helping him with his site, which kind of ipso facto learning about personal finance at the same time. And we would chat over Skype, and his wife was like, hey, you guys really have a good chemistry. Maybe you guys should start a podcast. And I was like, well, I know how to do that. That's really easy to do. So we ended up starting a podcast in 2013 called Listen Money Matters. And it was supposed to be it started as a shock jockey. Again, that's all I really knew growing up. I used to listen to Preston and Steve in Philadelphia. And, all the music was heavier because it was on a heavier station, heavy music station. So I thought it would be funny to do a financial podcast where the intro was heavy metal. And so I wrote a heavy metal track, and that became the intro. And, we kind of come in hot, and then we were super nervous. So we started drinking, just to kind of calm our nerves. And then, as a person who was who likes drinking, I would always ask him what he was drinking because he would always have something and I would have something. So we'd ask each other, and that became just a part of the show organically. And that did really well. I mean, that's one of the biggest financial podcasts. Still, I think to this day, it's still a pretty big show. And I did it for a year, burned out, quit, came back 3 years later, did it for 2 years. And then we just ended up ending the show abruptly, but we ended it. So And then in between that, I had a show called Driven for 8 episodes. And then I had a show called MoneyLab for about a year. And then I had a show called MoneyLab Live for a couple months. And so I'm still trying to find out, like, to me, podcasting has just been, it's really unfortunate because it's hard to interact. Like, the interaction between the medium and how you would like respond are separated. So what I've never been able to figure out is like how to get the validation from the audience, while we're doing the show, so for years you do this financial show and you're changing people's lives with your information. And then the only time you really know that is when they like have to email you. And when they do, they email you everything. And you're like, and that becomes a job in and of itself. And so you never get to this point where you could just say something and somebody could be like, yes, I hear you. It's like, it's not a live audience. And so I thought that moving to a MoneyLab Live, a YouTube live situation would help that. But it honestly, it didn't. I think it just got like more niche. And, I own this podcasting equipment. I really want to podcast. I just don't know what the next iteration of me being a broadcaster is yet. So we'll find out. But I do love it. I love the act of broadcasting. I love talking. So I just don't know what to talk about, I guess, anymore.
Yeah, but it sounds like it won't be long before something pops up.
No, something will come up. It'll probably be if I do anything in the future, it'll be seasonal. I'll tell you that, because I've definitely been thinking about doing it. But the way that I found, doing this for 15 years, I've realized that I really like working in sprints. I really like tackling a project for a month and putting everything I have into it and then dropping it as like, okay, I'm done this project. I can move on to something else, which is, again, why I do the brew cabin videos, because it's sort of like, it gets me away from like the monotony of producing, the same pool content over and over and over again. I can kind of, fuck off really and just go do this other crazy thing and see, just to kind of, again, give me some space. But I like working in those like batches. And so I think podcasting never is like supposed to be super consistent. It's like, oh, you got to show up every week. You got to do this thing. And I'm like, well, some weeks I don't feel like showing up and doing that thing. So I'd rather, do 10 episodes and drop them and have them be like absolutely gold as opposed to like, hey, this is just the thing I'm throwing together this week.
Yeah.
Or having to like book guests, which I've had to do for so long, and it's just not something I enjoy.
Yeah.
You learn.
Cool. I think the other great. Well, I guess talk a little bit about MoneyLab. But one of the, if any of the listeners haven't headed over there, go to MoneyLab.co. It's a great site where you a lot of the stuff you do, you always do a lot of experimentation and kind of before you kind of draw any conclusions, you kind of do it yourself, which I really like. And there's some really interesting experiments you've done over the years, like so it'd be cool to talk about a couple of those. But I guess the first one is like the fuck Amazon experiment, which came after the commission rate drop, right? So and I think everyone was feeling quite a lot of people were feeling that way about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that article really hit because it's not even an experiment. That one is a tough one because I think it's called Operation Fuck Amazon, right? And it's like the idea is, Amazon cut my commissions. I was going to lose half my revenue in my business. And I'm like, okay, what do I have to do to replace this? Like, we have to do it right now and, get off of the Amazon teat. And I think I was just the first, or maybe the loudest person, I should say, to kind of express this visceral disdain for this, company from the affiliate side of things. And so like, to call it something that visceral and to be that explicit with like, you know what, they can go fuck themselves. This is what I'm going to do to like get off, this Amazon train. And like, and it's still something I like, I'm so glad I did that. And I am constantly trying to think, how am I going to, and this is not just with Amazon, but I constantly look at all these big companies and I'm like, well, they're gonna fuck us at some point, right? So like, how do you just, Google continues to do it. It might have just done it to me. I have no idea. I have to look. But like, they're constantly changing their algorithms. They're constantly changing the way they do their business for their own benefit. And if you're not keeping up with that, and you're not, even if you are keeping up with it and you're doing everything you're supposed to do correctly, they still have the magic button to wipe out your business. And so I'm constantly thinking about how to future-proof myself from these big companies and be nimble enough and quick to change directions when I have to. And that article sort of embodies that, like, that idea that, look, we're this scrappy young company that got fucked by this huge company. Like, let's it's really, I'm not hurting them by doing this. I'm just, saving myself and teaching others at the same time how to do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like just a mindset, right? So like making sure that.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Yeah. Well, I was just going to say that MoneyLab in general is sort of like it's a playground for me. A lot of them are experiments and challenges. The challenges are more like just for fun, not fun and money, but like the experiments are not really experiments that would work for everybody. They're experiments kind of like self-contained, and it's just like, hey, I'm going to try this thing. I have this idea. Here's my hypothesis. Let me actually do it in real time and share everything that I've done and see what happens at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Is there any other experiments what's been your favorite kind of experiment that you think is worth sharing with the audience?
So one I'm working on now, I'm working on a couple experiments. One's private. I really can't even talk about it. It's only talked about in MoneyLab Pro, which is like, it's the MoneyLab membership site which has all my courses and a community. So I'm talking about it in the community, and I'm writing a post there that's kind of private just for people who subscribe. And it's mainly just, I don't want it to be public yet. It will be probably next year or the year after. But for now, it's just like, I want to keep it close to the vest. And the other one I'm working on is I started writing it. I haven't like sat down and made it my focus. It'll probably be my focus in August. But I'm doing extreme email segmentation. So my whole idea, or the things that I've been thinking about, I had just published an article right before we jumped on. There's a new article on MoneyLab that's called the Untouchable Online Business Model. And the idea being that, like, if you're extremely generous and you divert and you build out your distribution network and collect as many email addresses in the process, that is a recipe for a sustainable, untouchable, and future-proofed business, online business specifically. Because again, I go back to like the, protecting myself from the big, King Google, who, can click a button and boom, my channel's deleted, or boom, like I'm sandboxed, or, I passed all, it's like, oh, it's hilarious that I passed all their core web vitals, and yet the June update still, according to what you just said, I got hit, but then I don't see that in analytics. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, that's still, I'm not scared anymore. I used to be, because, I get, it's back when I was like, I had nothing. Now it's like, well, I started to build out a huge email list of people that if I need to, I can tap for, and create products for, and make more things. And so my other thought is starting to think about how to create a very valuable company that's not necessarily, that may not even be in the revenue side of things, but like, how do you create like a bunch of assets? And one of the things I've been thinking about is obviously building a huge, huge email list of, people that are in my audience that own swimming pools and hot tubs. But just having their email addresses is one way to communicate with them. But what if you knew more information about everybody? Like, just kind of sort of big data, but, doing it in permission-based sense. And does that email list become valuable in and of itself, maybe later down the line when you want to sell the company or whatever? So I'm looking at things to increase the value of what I do. You know, and that means creating more products. That means creating more content. That means, you know, hitting milestones in traffic and in subscribers and in viewership and all of that stuff. Like, those are all things that we've always done. And now we're starting to think more on the back end of things like, well, you know, what happens if we were going to sell this company, you know, 5-10 years from now? You know, how do we make it more valuable? And then in turn, we're end up making it more valuable for ourselves in the short term. So, you know, what my next experiment is going to be about email segmentation, where I want to start collecting information from people about where they are in their, you know, pool owning process, what type of pool they own, do they keep it open year round, like all of those things as like attributes for each person. And once we have that knowledge, sort of using that to personalize our newsletters, to you know, create better sales pages for them that resonate better, create products for them that are better, you know, answer their questions. And again, just being more helpful if we know, the more we know, the more helpful we can be.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And are you using Active Campaign on the back end for that still?
I am. Yeah. Currently. Yeah.
That's what we're using. Yeah. We like that. Yeah. You can.
Yeah. I like it. Obviously it's like slow and it has bugs and its problems, but it's been, for me, I think it's been the best email provider I've used. And I've used 4. Yeah. So that's the fourth one's you know, I'm sure there'll be a better one next that I'll move to at some point, but this one's good for now.
It's just super powerful, isn't it? In little things you can do. But.
It is very powerful. Yes. You know, but you pay for it.
Oh yeah.
for sure. You know, like $600 a month for this thing. It's like, oof.
Yeah. I mean, it does, you know, if you're using it in the right way, it will pay for itself, but yeah, it's expensive. Cool. Okay. Just a couple other things before we wrap up. You know,
sure.
You got your finger in quite a lot of different pies. So, you know, you've also created a plugin. You've also created a theme, right? WordPress theme. So, or at least one plugin, right? But I mean, Lasso is the one I'm referring to.
Right. Which I'm no longer a part of, but I cashed out of that.
Did you? Okay.
But yes. Yeah. Back in October, I think it was. Yeah. Yeah. Just, again, it was one of those things where it demanded too much of my time, and it wasn't, you know, too much of my time, and it was going to be one of those never ending consistent trains that I can't stand being on. Right. I like to work in sprints, and it wasn't something that was going to allow me to do that. So I had to bail for my own mental health reasons. That was really the only reason.
Yeah. Cool. And Carbonate is your theme, which is the theme you use on your sites as well, right?
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I've never actually downloaded and used it, but I hear good things about it. I hear people talking good things about it. So
that's good. Yeah. It's just super light. I mean, it's like, I'm surprised that I've never seen a theme like this, but it's kind of based around a philosophy of the kind of sites that I make, which are, you know, very, very, very lightweight, and it only has what it needs and nothing else. And so, like, if you just use that theme and you follow its philosophy, which is, you know, less is more, it's fast. It's like lightning fast. So, and I've made it so that it's like there's no back end scripts that run to customize it. Everything's customizable in the HTML, but everything's sort of like labeled and coded so that you know what to change and what not to change as a non-coder.
Yeah, for sure.
And it comes with a course to teach you how to do it too. So it's
I saw that. You can use it for like affiliate sites, right, as well. But has it got any specific affiliate features kind of built in, or is it kind of, you know, you apply plugins to it?
Nope.
It says, okay.
Yeah. You could, like, I use Lasso on all my sites, so you can apply Lasso to it. You know, it uses Yoast, but you could switch it to Rank Math if you wanted to. And that's really all it needs, like, to be a, you know, an affiliate site. Yeah. And then it's just like a little customization here and there, change the colors, change the logo, obviously add your own featured images, and it tells you exactly what sizes to make everything, and it's sort of it's all there.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to take a look for sure. I've heard good things. Like to say. Okay. And I guess this is your opportunity as well. Like, you also you also got a few courses, right? That you run on your site. Like, can you tell us a little bit about the courses that you've got?
Yeah. So, currently we have 5 courses, at MoneyLab.co. So we have a course. The first one I ever made was called Asana for Bloggers, which is my, editorial how I used Asana as my editorial calendar for Swim University and, Brew Cabin and Roasty. Even though I'm not consistent anymore, we used to be very consistent. So all of that is based on the hardcore consistency of publishing every week. But it includes how we publish YouTube videos every week, how we use it to develop products, courses specifically, how we use it for podcasting and doing, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in just like, manage, editorial calendar management, that's the way. Content calendar management, that's that course. And I don't know how much it costs right now, but then we have a course on SEO that's been, still bulletproof. We have a course on monetization, which currently is called the Affiliate Marketing Video Course, but it will be changed to monetization for bloggers probably, or something along those lines, because we're going to start to get into creating digital products. There is a little section about digital products, affiliate marketing, tracking. We're even maybe getting to different other ways to monetize as well. Maybe some banner advertisement, maybe some, I don't know. I have some tricks up my sleeve there. And then we have a course on page speed specifically, and of course on YouTube, on how to do YouTube. So that's our biggest course right now. And all of those courses you can buy individually on the site, or you can just sign up for MoneyLab Pro, which is $49 a month, and you get access to all 5 of those courses, plus a community where me and a bunch of other entrepreneurs that are kind of already doing this, So it's not really a beginner's area. It's more of it's pro. It's exactly what the name implies. It's not just, pro because we could charge for it. It's pro because there are pros there. So
okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool. So what's next for Matt Giovanisci?
Well, I'm working on a 4th video for Brew Cabin. I've been building and filming, converting a chest freezer into a kegerator. And so I've been filming that, and I haven't even sat down to edit it yet, but it's on my list of things to do. I got 3 more videos planned for Brew Cabin. So that's kind of been like where my passion is, but we have some more products that we're working on in the fall and winter for Swim University. And again, a lot of that's talked about in MoneyLab Pro that I can't make public. And then, just kind of keeping Swim University afloat, no pun intended, and MoneyLab afloat. I just published an article not, an hour ago. So I haven't even promoted it yet. I got to send an email before I get into the brewery, but yeah. And then working in the brewery and drinking beer and, just trying to, enjoy the rest of 2021 at home.
Yeah. Sounds good. Like a good life to me.
Yeah. It's not bad. Can't complain.
Awesome. Well, okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there, Matt. So thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And look forward to what's coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're listening to the podcast version of this episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please rate and review, as this will allow us to grow our audience and create more shows like this one. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to be the first to know about any new episodes that we release. Until the next episode, goodbye.